about how most people think they have less body fat than they do. And they think they have more muscle than they do. And the problem that this causes. Um, a lot of the time, somebody might think, like, oh, I only have, 20 pounds to lose. And here's what happens. A person's like, okay, I only have 15 pounds to lose, right? This person might be, let's say this is a male. He's 200 pounds. He's like 5'10", 5'11", and he's got a belly. He's, definitely not a hard body. And to himself, he goes, okay, I got about like 15-ish pounds to lose, and then I'll be good. Now, he starts to lose weight. He gets down about 10 pounds. And when he looks in the mirror, it's not much different. He ignores the fact that his clothes fit differently. Or it's not that he's ignoring it. He's not even aware of it, right? Or he's not even giving it any weight, pun intended. And so, in his frustration of like, man, I lost 10 pounds and I did all this stuff, and usually the person is doing something like really extreme to lose this 10 pounds, and it's like a lot of friction, a lot of hard work. And what they see in the mirror 10 pounds down doesn't match what they think, and then they get frustrated, and then most of the time the probabilities suggest that they're going to quit. Now, the real path forward here is to recognize that in order to really find out, you have to go all the way without having a preconceived idea of like what weight you should be. When you think, oh, there's a lot of guys who are like, they feel like they need to weigh a certain amount, which is such a silly thing. Like, no, very few males are legitimately 200 pounds if they got down to 10% body fat or less. Okay? People really don't understand the amount of muscle mass that that requires. So, they're like, they start seeing the scale go down, and then they're like freaking out because there's no way I could be a man and be, under 100 or like under 200 pounds. Like, yeah, most of that's fat. If it wasn't fat, you wouldn't look the way that you do. And I went through this myself. In my mind, I was always like, by the way, I'm 5'11"-ish, and that means I'm a little bit shorter than 5'11", but 5'11", and when I'm shredded, I weigh about 147 pounds. And that's not like a weak, scrawny one. My death pounds. My squat at that weight is 350 pounds. I've dunked at all my weights, but I'm dunking and I'm explosive. So in my mind, as I was growing up, I always had this idea, it's like, I need to be 185 pounds. Random arbitrary number. We focus on these numbers and we forget, well, what am I actually looking for? I actually don't care about the number. Nobody cares about the number. What people care about is how they look in the mirror, how clothes look on them, and then a little bit lower for a lot of people is what they can physically do. And so I got up to 85 pounds, which was like, I was fat. Like, I had a big old belly. Well, not a giant belly, because like I was so 145 so I gained about 30 pounds of fat. Okay. And I was bulking because I was trying to get big. And so I was like, okay, I hit 185 and I was like, I need to lose body fat now because I couldn't take it. I was like, I can't do this. And I started to cut. And by the end of the cut, I was back down to 147. Now, granted, this 147 looked very different than the 147 before that. But the point is, everybody thinks they only have like 20 pounds of fat to lose, when in reality most males, if you're about 5'10", 5'11", and you're currently 190, 200 pounds, maybe a little bit more, you got a good 40-50 pounds to lose if you want to see what's underneath. And my recommendation to people is don't worry about the number on the scale. Instead, you got to put your attention and your focus on doing the habits, the actions that would develop good long-term habits. Okay? Lifting weights, hitting your calorie target, because that's what matters. And if you have the patience, which most people don't, if you have the patience to spend 6 months in a calorie deficit, you will get extremely, extremely lean. You will most likely have a visible six-pack, unless you're like, if you're 250, you probably will need to spend a little bit more. Like that's, you're looking at close to 70, 80 pounds of body fat. So, definitely more than 6 months, but around a year. Almost anybody in a year can get a six-pack. Okay. So my point with this with this video was, don't fixate on a number on the scale, right? Don't worry about, I need to be 200 pounds. No. Fixate on the quality habits and the quality training, and find out what the coach helps. You're not gonna, most likely you are gonna learn a lot of new things, but it's nothing new under the sun. They will help you stay focused on the things that you need to do day in and day out. And so that's it. Like, people fixate on a scale weight, when they're going down. And people and especially guys fixate on a scale weight that determines their like manliness. Like, stop. Okay, don't do that. Cutting out again. I don't know. Nice rainy day here. That's all for today.